So when when I attended Kansas Wesleyan University, my track was literature, English, writing. All right, so all that stuff together. My final paper of the year, because I guess I had painted an image in art in one of my art courses of the United States flag with swastika. So I think that might have alarmed people. But aside from the fact that if you took away the Holocaust completely out of, I know you can't, but let's just remove the Holocaust from World War II, all right? And we just look at National Socialism as a political theory without, because National Socialism wasn't based on attacking Jews in of itself. That was like a last resort thing. Most of the time, the Jews during World War II were housed in ghettos until the last half of it, where Hitler just, I'm sorry, the guy in Germany, he just did it because he was losing the war. Basically, that was, I don't know if that's the truth, but that's assumed that he did it as a last resort to try to prove to the world what he was capable of doing and the atrocities. So basically, he was fighting a losing battle and doing the worst and heinous shit that he could do at the last minute. And that was the Holocaust. So, but at Kansas Wesleyan University, I think they took it wrong. Like I hated Jews or something. I don't. I've dated a couple of Jews in my life. Um, so I don't hate Jews at all. Um, I I don't believe everything they believe, but anyways, it's more complicated than that. Politically, I believe in National Socialism, but what the guy in Germany did with the Jews, I do not agree with. Just like with Stalin, you know. Yeah, community, unified people, good idea. Gulags, bad idea. Anyways, so my final paper before I graduated from my English to get my degree was on an author named Paul Celan, and he was a Holocaust survivor. So, and he wrote a poem called Todesfuge, and this is a very important poem regarding his experiences inside of concentration camps. I think it was at Auschwitz or Dachau, one of the two. He was put into one of those. They might say somewhere. I can't remember, but somehow he survived the experience, and it really fucked up his head. I mean, this guy was just. But at the same time, he became one of the greatest authors and poets of that time after World War II. So after World War II, although they say Elie Wiesel and Anne Frank and all those people are important, those are the mainstream. But this guy kind of gives you more of a deeper understanding of what was actually going on. You know, things that might have been a lot more disturbing if we had known the truth. Now, mind you, like I said, the guy in Germany just did this kind of in the maybe from the half part of the war up to the last half. Before then, the Jews were just forced into ghettos, you know, Jewish ghettos. We've all heard that 1,000 times. But here's Paul Celan. He's a Holocaust survivor. I wrote about him as my final paper at Kansas Wesleyan before I graduated on his poem Todesfuge. Now, Paul Celan. This is him. He's also known as Paul Anschel, but I guess this is his pen name, Paul Celan. You also find him as Paul Anschel, so I think you spell it Anschel. And it's like Anschel. I don't know how to spell it right. Anschel. Paul Celan, maybe, though it might bring it up that way. I don't know how, forget how to write it, but yeah, Anschel, right there. Paul Anschel later changed to Ansel as the birth name of the renowned post-war German language poet Paul Celan, who created the pen name Celan as an anagram of the Romanian spelling of his family's name, Anschel. So his real name is Paul Anschel, but his pen name is Paul Celan. All right. So we'll go on here. So this is him. All right. He's a survivor of the Holocaust. I forget if it was, we'll look at it. He's Jewish. We'll look at which place he was in, but I'm sure he'll tell us. Paul Celan was a German-speaking Romanian poet, Holocaust survivor, and literary translator. He adopted his pen name, following the war, and resided in France from 1949, becoming a naturalized French citizen in 1955. I just want to figure out like exactly which one he was in. So we have a better understanding, like what concentration camp he's talking about. I forget. I can't remember if it's Dachau or Auschwitz. It might have been Dachau, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. You'll have to go through, read it. His life, his story growing up from, he was born in Ukraine. Before the ghetto was dissolved in the fall of the year, Celan was pressed into labor, first cleaning the debris. Yeah. So basically, but he was, which one was he? Intern camp. I don't know why they don't have it like front and center which one he was in. Let's look it up. Which concentration camp was Paul Celan in? So he was not in a concentration camp, but he was in a Transnistria intern labor camp. I don't know if, I thought he was in one of the bigger ones for some reason. I don't know. But my focus was on his poem, not so much on his personal life. But I had no clue that he was not at, what is Transnistria? Is that any worse or not? I would assume so, because according to the poem, it just sounds awful, if you know what I mean. So I'm not sure if, let's just read the poem and a little bit about his life. Because even if he wasn't in a Nazi concentration camp, but he was in a Romanian Transnistриan intern labor camp, apparently, like right here, I'm sorry. See, Paul Celan was not in a Nazi concentration camp. Instead, for the summer of 1942 until February 1944, he was imprisoned in a system of forced labor camps in the Transnistria and southern Romanian regions run by the Romanian regime. His parents were deported separately to a Transnistrian internment labor camp, often referred broadly as a concentration camp, where his father died of typhus and his mother was shot. I don't know if that was any worse in Dachau, but according to in Neustrian, let's see, because this is really bothering me now that I thought he was in like one of the bigger ones. Transnistran, because I can't imagine that this camp was as bad as it was if it wasn't like Dachau or Auschwitz, if you know what I mean. I just assumed he was bad. Were they bad? How bad? Because apparently, according to his poem, they were awful. Apparently so, yeah. Camps and ghettos run by the Romanian regime was brutal sites of mass murder, starvation, and disease between 1941 and 1944. So Axis authorities deported and killed thousands of Jews and Romani people through horrific abuse. So apparently these were just as worse, just not so centralized and located in certain regions of. But anyways, I'd say that's a lot of people, about 250,000. All right. So, anyways, I guess they're just as bad. So let's look at Todesfuge. I just want to read through it so you understand what Todesfuge is about. It's a German language poem written by the Romanian born poet Paul Celan, probably around 1945 and published in 1948. It is one of the best known and often anthologized poems, despite critics claiming that the lyrical finesse and the aesthetic of the poem did not do justice to the cruelty of the Holocaust. So either way, people are kind of critical, saying it wasn't. But to me, it sounds pretty bad either way. Others regard the poem as one of the Combine's mysteriously compelling imagery with rhythmic variations and structural patterns that are both elusive and pronounced at the same time. It is regarded as a masterful description of horror and death in a concentration camp. Paul Celan was born to a Jewish family in whatever. I can't speak that, but I think it's Chernevisti, Chernauti. I could be saying that wrong. Romania. His parents were murdered in the Holocaust, and Celan himself was a prisoner for a time in a work camp. The poem had also reached international relevance by being considered to be one of the most important poems of the post-war period and the most relevant example of Tumar literature. So, what is that? It's called a literary movement that shortly after World War II. So, okay. So pretty much anything after World War II. So we're working in this idea. So this is where it starts to get kind of gross, you know. Anyways, it gets gross. We'll just read through this, and then so you understand what we're reading, because it's hard to understand. It's a very complicated poem, but it's gross. All right. The we of the poem describes drinking the black milk of dawn at evening, noon, daybreak, and night, and shoveling a grave in the skies. They introduce a he who writes letters to Germany, plays with snakes, and whistles orders to his dogs and to his Jews to dig graves in the earth. The word Ruden, male dogs, and Juden, Jews, are assonant in German and commands us to play music and dance. He uses the phrase, your golden hair, Margaret, hair like the black milk, becomes a recurring theme of the poem. This may possibly be in the letter that he writes to Germany, although the wording leaves this unclear. So there is a lot of ambiguity in it, but I don't know if it has to be given the times at the time that he can be as descriptive, maybe, but descriptive enough to me if you understand the poem. The poem repeats many of the images of the first section, but with some changes of the word order. The golden hair of Margaret is now counterpoint with your ashen hair Sulamith. And he now grabs his gun and is described as blue-eyed while issuing his orders. All right. Not all Germans are bad, all right? They're not. They're not, in my opinion. Third section. Again, with the images are counterpoint and extended. He is now associated with the phrase "death is a master" from Germany, and in his orders to play music threatens you'll rise to the sky like smoke, you'll have a grave in the clouds. All right. Sometimes our ancestors didn't make very good decisions. All right. So, and we look back and we learn from those, right? We see those as examples, not role models. Anyway, fourth section, in the fourth reworking of the themes and images of the poem so far, it emerges that death is a master from Germany. His eyes is blue, and he shoots his victims with leaden bullets and sets his dogs on the victims, leading to their grave in the sky. The final two lines of the poem counterposes your golden hair, Margaret, your ashen hair, Solomon. So, all right. Now we kind of have an idea of what's going on in the poem, right? So here's the poem. All right. Black milk. Well, do you know what black milk is? No. Black milk is ash, like from crematoriums, mixed up in whatever and fed to the Jews. So basically, it was cannibalism. So we're looking at like a form of cannibalism going on in this internment camp where Jews are being exterminated in ovens like crematoriums. Their ashes are made into a milk and fed to the Jewish people. All right. Terrible stuff. All right. I don't want to really get into that, but it's bad. So now we know what black milk is. All right. Let's go. Paul Celan, just to verify, black milk. Cremation, ash, fed to Jews in Todesfuge. All right, Paul Celan. So, yeah, the phrase black milk is a powerful metaphor for the inescapable horror and despair of the consequence, not a literal act of cremation being fed. The poem juxtaposed life-giving milk with a dark, consuming reality of death. The prisoners drink the symbolic black milk of daybreak at the hours morning, noon, and night, capturing a routine. So, I don't know. I assumed what black milk was cremation ash and some kind of liquid. I don't know. But apparently, I don't know if he can come out and say that the Jews were being fed this. I don't know. But anyways, represents a perversion of nourishment instead of sustaining life. The forced reality of the camp feeds the prisoners a continuous diet of death and spiritual dread. I can't imagine what else they'd be eating than black milk. I mean, I don't know. What, were they eating like bratwurst? I don't fucking know. You be the judge. Anyways. Why are they eating this? All right. Okay. So black milk of daybreak, we drink it at dusk. We drink it at noon and morning. We drink it at night. We drink and we drink. We dig a grave in the sky. There's plenty of room. A man lives in the house. He plays with his snakes. He writes. He writes when it darkens in doucheland, your golden hair Margaret. He writes it and steps outside of the house, and in the strike of the stars, he whistles his hounds, he whistles his Jews, dig a grave in the ground. He commands a strike up for the dance. Black milk of daybreak, we drink you at night, we drink you in the morning, and midday we drink you at dusk. We drink and we drink. A man lives in the house. He plays with his snakes. He writes. He writes when it darkens. In Doucheland, your golden hair Margaret, your ashen hair Sulamith. We dig a grave in the sky. There is plenty of room. He shouts you there, dig deeper. The rest of you sing. You others play on. He raises the rod from his belt. His eyes are blue. Driven the spade deeper. The rest of you sing with others. Play on for the dance. Black milk of daybreak, we drink you at night, we drink you at midday and morning, we drink you at dusk. We drink and we drink. A man lives in the house with golden hair Margaret, your ashen hair Sulamith. He plays with his snakes. He shouts, make death sound sweeter. Death is the master from Doucheland. He shouts, strike the violin darker than rise as a smoke in the air, than a grave in the clouds. There is so much more room. Black milk of morning, we drink you at night, we drink you at midday. Death is the master from Doucheland. We drink you at dusk. In the morning we drink and drink. Death is a master for Doucheland. His eye is as blue. He leads bullets, strike you. His aim is true. A man lives in the house, you golden hair Margaret. He whistles his hands and grants us graves in the sky, and he plays with his snakes, and he dreams. Death is a master, aus Doucheland, your golden hair Margaret, your ashen hair Sulamith. So I'm assuming these are having to deal with biblical characters versus, the golden hair Margaret versus the ashen hair Margaret. I think it's one of Margaret is the biblical, isn't it a biblical character of some sort or something? I'm sorry, it's been so many years since I've reevaluated all these and looked at Margar. Maybe not. That's Himmler's wife, right? Margaret and Sulamith. Is Sulamith the biblical? No, Sulamith. Okay, so actually, I thought they were biblical characters too, but anyway, were they biblical characters? The Sulamith is the female protagonist and bride in the biblical book Song of Solomon. Her name appears specifically in the Song of Solomon 6:13, and she is celebrated as a primary voice expressing deep love, beauty, and devotion. So, she is the main female speaker and bride in the Song of Songs. The Hebrew word Sulamith or Sulamith means woman of Jerusalem, or relates to the peace and completeness, matching King Solomon's name. So, many experts think it's linked to the town of Sulanam, making her a Sunamite. Poetic symbolism. She describes herself as a dark but lovely due to the workings in the sunlit vineyard. So let's look at Margaret. And who exactly is she? So, Bible. Just see if she's in the Bible. Are we talking about Himmler's name? It's not in the Bible. Okay, so we're looking at Himmler's wife then, I guess, right? I'm assuming. All right, because does Margaret Himmler, or let's see, Margaret. So we're looking at maybe her, all right? So this is her. This is who Margaret is, I guess, all right? Great for the internet. Back in my day, you had to dig through books like hell to figure out all this. Now you can look it up in 5 seconds, right? So now we know, all right, we've read this, all right? So we're assuming that this is Himmler's wife. It doesn't come out and tell us that that is Himmler's wife, but now we know, right? And this is a biblical character for Song of Solomon. All right, so there's one thing you need to know about this song, though. Do you like the musicality and the rhythm and the lyrical quality of it? It has a ring to it, right? Black milk of daybreak, we drink it at dusk, we drink it at noon in the morning, we drink it at night, we drink it and we drink it. So basically, it's musical in the sense that it is a death dance, all right? It has a death dance song, which means death dance. All right, death dance, Holocaust. What was the death dance back then? Well, the phrase death dance in context primarily refers to a historical account of camp prisoners forced by guards to dance before execution. The tragic tango of death played by slave labor camp orchestra or artistic and musical expression inspired by these grim events. So, forcing dancing, the guards at concentration camps and death camps occasionally forced Jewish prisoners to perform physical exhaustion or humiliating dances on graves or near gas chambers before executing them as a form of psychological torture. The Tango of Death, Todas Tango, in camps like Janoska, Nazi authorities forced Jewish musicians, prisoners to play specific musical arrangements, frequently as a tango during selections, torture sessions, mass executions, and as the orchestra members themselves were led to their deaths. All right, so let's see. These are probably the songs that were often played. Wait, maybe not. Stated to his famous song list. So Leonard Cohen. This might be Laskovskivich piano trio number. The Dark Driving Final Movement of Dmitri Shostakovich, Opus 60, incorporates a Jewish themed dance motif widely interpreted as a musical depiction of being forced to dance towards the mass. So maybe, anyways, I don't know what song exactly. We could look at it. Let's look at it. What song is Totus Fugue? Paul Celan. Representing. None. It is not a literal song. So he made it up himself, right? Okay. So Paul Celan made the song up by himself. It's not based on any represented song. So not only do we have a song that this guy has created and the poem, but we also have a poem that depicts the brutality of being in the Holocaust with references to biblical characters and Himmler's wife. All right. She's, let's say, Marguerite Himmler or whatever, Boden. What is she? She's the death death lady, I guess, right? She's sending everyone to their death. So maybe, I don't know. It's a poem, all right? It's a poem. It's not meant to be straight out, if you know what I mean. There's a lot of ambiguity. There's a lot of figurative language. There's a lot of this and that. So you have to kind of, you have to understand what may have been going on at that time. It's not going to straight out and tell you like a factual, fact-based book. A poem is always going to have an element of mystery to it. And you have to kind of dig deep or read between the lines. At first, does it look all that much of a bad poem when you read it? Yeah, you kind of understand. But then the deeper you get into it, okay, what is black milk? Why are they feeding these people black milk? The internet doesn't want to come out and tell you exactly what black milk. It's an assumption. Where would you get black milk? I don't know where black milk is. I've never heard of it. The only thing that I know that you can mix liquid up and turn it black is with ash, right? Maybe dirt, but ultimately ash is going to turn milk or water in black. So, and I can't imagine like what the Jews were doing with all that cremation ash. So, I don't know. The grave's in the sky. What do you think that means? Smoke, cremation? There's plenty of room, it says, so you don't have to dig anything. Anyways. Why is everybody like dancing around, all right? And playing music? When we understand there's a death dance, right? Going on in this poem. Right? So everybody's dancing right before their death. And everybody's drinking, and then they're talking about doucheland. So he writes, where it darkens in doucheland, your golden hair Margaret. So we also know that Aryans, blonde hair, blue eyes, right? Man lives in his house and he plays with his snakes. He writes, well, could be anything, like, I don't know. His friends, I don't know. His Nazi buddies, I don't know. And he plays with his snakes. Guns, I don't know. It could be anything. Let's look. What do they mean by snakes in Paul Celan's? I mean, we can break this down all fucking day, word by word, but what does he mean? Poem. I mean, your guess is good as mine. Who is he talking about? A snake. He plays with snakes, or so describes the chilling camp commandment, who rules over the prisoners' lives and deaths. He symbolizes cold malice and sadistic control and the toxic, deceptive nature of absolute power. Nazi authority figure, maybe. Yeah, plays with. So I'm assuming the commandment, right? That was my first thought. Could be anything, right? Snakes is kind of. It's poetry. I didn't experience the Holocaust, right? I don't remember at any time being inside the Holocaust, so I don't really know what's going on. I'm just getting this kind of ambiguous view into it. It doesn't come out and tell me exactly, say like, we were sitting there at dinner time and they mixed in a bunch of cremation ash into some milk and water and fed it to us. No, he's not being that kind of descriptive, you know. And we sat there and just drank this day and night and just shit ourselves all fucking day, you know. Because what they do, they exterminated the Jews, so you could probably have poison in there too, right? There's probably poison. The Jews are probably being poisoned. They're shitting all over the place. They're drinking this cremation garbage, black milk stuff, morning, noon, and night. They're playing music in these concentration camps before they're being executed. So where is all this shit going, right? So, yeah. So what else can we look at? Strikes you and aim true. A man lives in his house with. So yeah, when we break it down, is there any element in this that we haven't looked at so far that doesn't make you? How about this? He writes. We've already looked at this. We already looked at this. He writes it and steps outside the house, and to strike off the stars, he whistles his hounds. He whistles his Jews digging. So, yeah, we've already addressed the fact that Jews and hounds are similar in context when it comes to the German word at that time, right? Paul Celan's. Just to verify. Fact based. We're trying to go fact based on here. Jews and hounds, similar linguistic context, I guess. I don't know. Nuances, I don't know. Let's just guess. Total field parallel lines, air. He whistles his hands by matching the exact grammatical. I'm not a German expert, but what do you think? Herbie Fifian and Hervor Fifian and substitute Ruden hounds with Juden Jews. Ceylon uses a near homophonic rhythm and identical syntax. I don't know. I don't speak German. I'm not fluent in German. I spoke French, Latin, Japanese. But Juden and Ruden, like hounds and Jews, sound similar. What do you think? He writes it and steps outside of his house and the strike of the stars, and he whistles his hounds. He whistles his Jews dig a grave in the ground. He commands a strike up for the dance. I don't know. What do you think? I think we addressed every line in that. You can find this, I think, in his collection, Dursan aus den Urnen, Sands of the Urn, because the initial printing had many errors, but you can also just find Todesfield. So, yeah. Paul Celan. Yeah. I mean, from a poetic standpoint, terrible, right? Just awful. If we eliminate that and look at the other side, technological advancements, great. But that part is like the nasty part. You know what I mean? Now we know what black milk is, I guess. Or we still might have questions unless we specifically ask him, explain this to me. What do you mean by black milk? Is the internet going to tell us that? I don't know. I don't know. To this day, it remains a mystery what it is, but most people, I'm assuming, including myself. Where are you gonna get black milk? What is it? I don't know. Wow, right? Okay. You guys have a good day.